Hi, everyone. Some of you asked for some explanations on last night's homework. So these were the questions that I received. Now you can view all of the homework answers to the entire document. And I suspect once you see the answers, you might be able to figure out your questions. But I just want to go over the two that people asked me about. So number two was talking about the normal distribution curve. And whenever they give you the mean and the standard deviation, it's up to you to draw the curve and to put the proper numbers down at the bottom. This is something that you're going to have to do in the March Madness project. So they started off by saying that this situation had a mean of 81 and a standard deviation of 9. So in the video yesterday, we talked about how to draw the normal curve. What you're going to do is you're going to add the standard deviation to each of the previous numbers going this way, and then going in the opposite direction, you're going to subtract the standard deviation. And what that does is it breaks it up into different amounts of data that the numbers fall within. So this is also called the 68. That's where 68% of the data falls. Then the 95, this is where 95% of the data falls. And then out here is 99.7% of the data. So it's called the 68, the 95, the 99.7% of data rule. So once you get all of those numbers down at the bottom, it makes it pretty easy to figure out the questions. The first question says, what is the probability that the numbers fall between 90 and 99? So you have your number 90 here and 99. This is two standard deviations from the mean. So in that little section of the standard curve, that would be 13.5% of the data fall between those two numbers. And then this next one saying what percent of the data is at least 72. Well, here's 72. Well, halfway is right here. Here's the mean. So this is the upper half, or 50%. So what I did to figure out this number is I said, okay, 50% plus this 34, and that will give me 84% of the data. So you're figuring out what percent goes along with each standard deviation from the curve. The next one is a box and whisker plot problem. So this is a good question to do. And it's talking about people's commute to work. And most of the people fall within a range of 7 minutes to work and 19 minutes to work. There's this outlier out here. So you might be thinking, okay, what's going on with that? Well, two things could happen when you're collecting data. One, maybe this employee typically does make it to work somewhere in here. But maybe there was an accident or something that delayed them that day and it took them a lot longer to get to work. Or two, maybe there's just this one person who lives really far away from work and that might be their commute every day. So when you have an outlier like that, you have to think about the situation and you have to think about whether you wanted to keep it into the data or not keep it into the data. And because of it being in a box and whisker plot, and they plotted it out here by itself and not connected it to the box and whisker plot, it's kind of like they said, let's keep it out of the data. So here are my answers. What percent of the employees commute between 7, here's 7, and 11 minutes to work? Well, that's a lower 20.5%. One bar would be 25% of the data. What's the greatest amount of time anybody commuted to work? Obviously, that would be 28 minutes. How long is the median? Okay, so when you do box and whisker plot, you have to remember that you are working with the median. The median is the middle. So this would be the median right here, which would be about 13 minutes, not the mean. The mean and the median are two different things. Do more employees commute between 7 and 13 minutes? So 7 and 13 minutes, here's 7. 13 would be here. That's about 50% of the people. And 13 and 16 minutes, 13's about here, and 16, that's only about 25% of the people. So it would be between 7 and 13 minutes. What is the range? Okay, range. Technically, this is a number that's in the data. So the range is always going to be the difference between the greatest and the least. So I took 28 minus 7. What percent of the employees commute to work between 11 and 16 minutes? Well, here's 11 again. Here's 16. That's a total of 25 and 25, or 50% of the people. And why was 28 an outlier? Because it was just so far out of the data with the rest of the data that we call it an outlier because It's just really far away from everything else. And that's all I had for you. Those were the two questions. So number 2 and number 5 were the questions that everybody was asking me about. If you have more questions from the homework, send me an email, let me know somehow, and I'll be happy to post a video about it later today or tomorrow. Let me know whatever questions you have, and I'll keep checking in with you.